everyone, it's Sid the Baker here once again. Sorry I've not been with you for a while, but I've been out living the dream with my wife. We've been travelling the country in our caravan and enjoying the summer holidays. Anyway, it's getting near autumn now, so it's back into the kitchen and we're going to do some more baking. Today, I'm going to make wholemeal bread. Now, I know a lot of people have difficulty making wholemeal bread. It turns out like a house brick sometimes and they get disheartened. I want to show you how to make it properly. Now, I've done a short piece just before we go on to that to explain what actually goes wrong. I'll be back after this piece and we'll go through the recipe. See you in a bit. Okay, so maybe you've tried making wholemeal bread. Maybe it's turned out like a house brick. Well, I'll try and explain what's going on. Here I've got a diagram of a grain of wheat. We have the outer layer, or the bran. The inside, that's the endosperm, and that's what makes white flour. And finally, we've got the germ. That's where the vitamins, etc., and all the good stuff are stored. Now, in white bread, this grain is milled. That just means it's crushed down. And when it's in little pieces, it's sieved. So all them bits are out, and you're just left with the endosperm, or the white fluffy stuff. That's white flour. Now, wholemeal flour's done in exactly the same way, but it's not sieved down. So everything is used. So now you've got the endosperm, that's the bread flour. The bran, that's really rough and gives roughage in your diet. And the germ, that gives vitamins, etc. The problem with making wholemeal bread is that the only bit that actually makes the bread is the endosperm. The rest is only going along for the ride. Now that would be fine, but the bran actually helps prevent your bread from rising because it's rough and it's sharp and it cuts into the gluten in the endosperm and that stops it from rising. And also think about it, in wholemeal flour only a portion is actually bread flour. That's the endosperm. So in a typical pound of wholemeal flour, only about 12 ounces would be bread flour, the endosperm. The rest would be the bran and the germ. So your typical white bread recipe won't work with wholemeal. We need a completely different recipe and a different method. Let's go and see how we do it. So for this recipe for wholemeal bread, we're going to use 12 ounces of strong wholemeal flour, 6 ounces of strong bread flour, 3 tablespoons of yeast. Yes, you heard me correctly, 3 tablespoons. We want to give this dough plenty of lift. 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 ounces of melted butter or oil, 1 tablespoon of lecithin improver, 3 tablespoons of vital wheat gluten. I'll explain that one in a second, and 12 ounces of warm water. Vital wheat gluten. Well, what is vital wheat gluten? Well, you get it off the internet, you get it off the auction sites or stuff like that. It is what it says on the label, it's gluten. Now with wholemeal flour, as we explained before, there's not a lot of gluten in it because you haven't got as much white flour as you would have in an ordinary white loaf. So this gluten, if you add it to your mix, will give it just that little bit of extra lift and just give us the edge we need to make a really nice loaf. Okay, so now we come to the easy bit. First of all, we add the 12 ounces of the strong wholemeal flour. Then we're adding 6 ounces of strong bread flour. Now I'm using some strong white bread flour because, as I explained in the diagram before, we haven't got much endosperm, i.e. white flour, in with wholemeal. So I'm adding a little bit extra. As you get used to making wholemeal, you can drop that white flour down a little bit and maybe put the wholemeal up a little bit to a balance that you're happy with. But for now, we're going to use the 6 ounces of strong bread flour. Right, 3 tablespoons of yeast. That's that. 1 tablespoon of sugar. 2 teaspoons of salt. 2 ounces of soft melted butter. 1 tablespoon of improver, that's the lecithin. 3 tablespoons of the gluten, and finally 12 ounces of water. Put the hook on, start it up. Now we're going to mix that for a good 5 minutes. Okay, that has had about 5 minutes now, so we're going to turn it off. If you notice it's come away from the bowl, it's on the hook. That's just how it should be. Now the thing is, you don't want to over mix wholemeal, because as I said on the diagram before, those little wheat kernels are cutting through that gluten like fun. So the less you mix it, the less it's going to cut through. If you're mixing white bread, you leave that on the machine a good 10 minutes or so. In fact, the more you mix it, the better it is. That doesn't work with wholemeal. You just need to mix it, get it right, and leave. I've got the dough out of the bowl. I've just kneaded it together a little bit. I'm going to put it in my plastic container, and then I'm going to put it in the slow cooker on the warm setting, just to let it rise. Now it won't double in size because it's wholemeal. We want it just rise a little bit. And incidentally, this is going to be a £2 loaf. Now the thing is, I've actually got £2 and 4 ounces of dough here, because if you just use the £2 of dough in a £2 tin, you're not going to get the lift, because it's not going to rise as much as white bread, remember. So £2 4 in a £2 tin will make just nice loaf. Right, I'm just going to put it in this warmer. If you saw my video on how to make a prover, if you've made the prover, you can put it in the prover. It works just as well. But I'm just going to leave it in here just because it's easier at the moment. When that reaches more or less the top of the plastic bowl, it'll be ready for knocking back. Right, so this dough has now got to the top of the plastic container. So we're now going to knock it back again. Similar to what you would with the white. It's all coming away from the bowl. And we're just going to knock the air out. And now we're going to just mould it up. Just like that. Now whenever you mould bread, always make sure you get the seam at the bottom. Right, press it out like that. Now that's going back into the warmer, or the warm space, or wherever you put it, until it reaches near the top of the tin. Here we are back again. It's been around about half an hour, and as you can see, the dough has reached the top of the tin. So we're now going to put it in the oven. I've preset the oven. They're at 150 degrees on the fan oven. I'm going to put it very near the bottom, just down there. I'll just put the tray right on the bottom, turn it upside down, so the actual bottom of the tin is round about an inch off the bottom of the oven, and that will take around about 35 minutes. Now if you're doing £1 loaves, knock about 5 to 10 minutes off the time. It doesn't take as long obviously because it's smaller. So we'll come back in around about 35 minutes. Right, here we go. It's been around about half an hour or so, and I think we'll find this is now ready. Oh yes, look at that. That is a beautiful loaf. Right. Okay, I'll just empty it out. And you notice I've got a non-stick paper on the loaf tin, which makes it much easier to get out of the tin. Unwrap it. And there we go. Now, just like that, cool down. And when it's gone cool enough, we'll slice it. Okay. This loaf is just about cool enough now to take a slice out. It's always best when it's just warm and you can slice it into a nice piece. I just want to take a slice off the loaf. Look at the crumb there, that is a perfect loaf, even though I do say so myself. Now, a bit of butter on it. So that was it, ladies and gentlemen, that was wholemeal bread. It wasn't as hard as you thought, was it? Give it a try. You never know till you give it a go. Hey, that rhymes. Fresh out the oven, wholemeal bread, you can't beat it. See you next time.